Hey, Kevin Kruger, local Miami resident and businessman. I met Daniel Odess, founder here at Nucleus Hub podcast studio, among other things. I'm an office broker, so I love the effectively flex office that you've built out. We did an updated tour together tonight, and then while waiting to come up and check the space out, these two gentlemen walked down the stairs with their vinyl. Juan and Matt
with two T's.
Oh.
With two T's.
Step all over you.
Yeah, you're going to step all over me.
I'm going to borrow your joke.
Yeah, no, you have to.
Two T's.
Yeah,
of course. He's got a little, crisscross to the top of the T's.
But I wear my pants the right way.
This is why we vibe, because I'm Gen X. They're clearly Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z. You're millennial.
I'm millennial.
You guys,
31.
31?
28.
28.
Well, here's my
Well,
theory.
Gen Z would be up to 25, though.
No, it's 97 to 2012. I just...
Because I'm 92, yeah.
I know. I was been... Really?
Yeah.
What do you identify as? Since we're having that conversation.
Podcaster.
Just
Entrepreneur.
Just a guy. Just a guy.
So,
do I have to identify as something? Is that
no,
like out of the
it's
contract?
you guys, I want to throw this one out. We're just going to free ball in.
Freestyle?
Right?
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're not going to get canceled like Dave Chappelle.
Freestyle. Don't lay down free ball.
Free ball into my cousin.
And if you are, don't edit it out.
Today on business, but
Thank you so much.
anyway.
Yeah, it's good.
So I'm blushing. So a few years ago, during the lockdown, I spent a lot of time. I lived at south of Fifth, and like right at the beach. And I had like a little 4-year-old friend, and I had an 80-year-old friend, and I started recognizing first of all, this 4-year-old would come up and sit with me at the lifeguard stand and watch the sunrise and stuff. Her dad's doing yoga right next to us. She'd come up and drop wisdom. I'm like, okay, I'm learning from this. Just the sort of question, the way a kid looks at the world, and we forget because we're in the system. And then I got an 80-year-old friend. He's got a book, and he just lost his wife. And I'm like, I think I need to pick a friend from each decade. The single digits, the teenager, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, all the way up, because we've got so much to learn and give to each other. And a lot of times we reject someone out of the generation or out of whatever demographic. So I haven't done a great job of picking but I try to be mindful about that stuff, and I think I flowed into different categories often, like bumping into you guys.
I think you're a natural.
Yeah, because the big thing I learned from that perspective.
Yeah, man, it's
getting perspective. Yeah.
Right, whether you're 4 or 80.
Yeah.
But so you guys have vinyl.
Yeah.
And I know the last 10, 20 years, vinyl's made a comeback.
Yeah.
Why? Why for you? Why does your generation gravitate to vinyl?
I mean, for us, we're like music buffs, so it's kind of like I have a vinyl player. Like some people that collect vinyls, but they don't have a vinyl player.
Yeah,
and it's
they didn't make them anymore and put them on the shelves. And
I mean, it came down to me. I wanted to know I still don't know what's the stream worth. Like you're streaming music, how much is it worth? But I know how much the vinyl may cost, and it's it has value to it. It's kind of like an action figure to me. I can actually...
It's tangible.
It's tangible. I can actually touch it. I can feel it.
Beautiful.
You can...
it's not like a squeezed little cassette tape that we grew up with. CD. It's 12 inches.
Yeah.
What made you bring these two here?
Well, me and Jay, we're gift givers. So he's always trying to one up me. But he's leading the charge now.
Wait a minute, you bought that for him?
Yeah.
I went to.
Did you buy?
This is his second gift.
That was our second one.
Can you show us what this one is on the camera here? Because this is a legend.
Yeah, this one right. Yes.
So, and we're trying to figure out if this is an original because they reprint vinyl now.
That's
from old copies, and this is in such good condition. Stevie Wonder, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how many Stevie. Are you a Stevie fan?
I am a Stevie fan.
So
I like the classics more than anything else.
So we grew up in an era we could go see him. Did you go to any concerts?
I have seen, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
Which one?
It was a national anthem that he was just playing.
Oh, all right, yeah. But you saw Legend.
But I've been to Jazz Fest New Orleans.
Oh, wow!
That was probably one of the greatest, I would say, music experiences of my life.
I bet.
I'm not a big concert guy.
I
can't actually.
Invented jazz.
I'll be honest. I fucking hate concerts. So
comfortable or just?
But I would prefer to be in the comfort of my house with a 6 stereo system, just vegged out just enjoying the music than in a clusterfuck of an environment that I'm uncomfortable, and then I have to figure out, like, I'm just thinking about the amount of traffic that I'm going to be stuck in on my way fucking home. Like, I cannot relax. Like, it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, my wife and my kids, my wife and my daughter are like total Swifties. All that whole thing.
She was just here last week, right?
So we can take this conversation in this direction.
Called a Taylor Swift day.
Yeah.
Like, just show up.
Well, look at the economic impact that she makes anyway. She could be like, but for me, listening to music has always been like an experience. Like, I would rather be with like a couple dudes just hanging out, or with like your girlfriend, your wife, or like enjoying the moment. And then you can relate that music to an experience, not just like just in crazy environment where you're smashed into like just uncomfortable for hours standing, staring at them playing the music. And by the way, like I find that most live music is nowhere close to the studio music, and particularly for vinyl. Like even a lot of I don't know. I enjoy. MTV used to do one of those where they would have the guy who'd sit on the stage, who would just jam. Yeah. It was the greatest shit ever.
I was just strolling through the Instagram, and I followed De La Soul, and they show
my God.
De La, Tribe Called Quest, MC Light, and I think one other. Oh, LL Cool J.
Yeah.
And they all did Unplugged together. I think it had to be the first hip hop.
How good was that?
And even listening to MC Light get playful into changing up her lyric flow, and when you strip away the band like that, and it's not just a DJ, and I think it was Maceo who is the DJ, and he was like, this is the first time we've ever played with a band. Like, that was not a thing until the Beastie Boys and the Philly group Questlove.
Yeah.
The Roots
Were those were the two first. Yeah. And there used to be like a couple bands back in the day.
I'm so glad they're on Jimmy.
So live music doesn't do it for you?
No, I like live music. I don't like being in like a stadium environment.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't concerts. I don't want concerts.
Because what I love
anything other than a concert. But the reason why I got on this is like at Jazz Fest, like you say, they're putting out like a live concert with like the main stages, but you're sitting in the field. You have like a case of beer.
Yes.
They're eating unbelievable food.
It's a different experience.
And you're hanging out. You're talking 1 minute. You're listening to music. You can walk into small tents where they do like almost like this like unplugged
side stages.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the most incredible environments to see so many different genres of music. Now, obviously, it's Jazz Fest, so you get a lot of the blues and some of the rich stuff that where you find a lot of our music is from. Actually, it's incidentally. The beats, the rhythms, and stuff like that, and most of it like comes from, not most of it, but a lot of it comes from that. So it's incredible to see these guys in their craft being so good at it. But again,
in person,
I
love it.
But like again, that main stage is not your typical concert, like a Swiftie concert, right? Where there's like literally a bazillion people.
Down here like this.
Yeah.
You're watching up on the screen on TV anyway.
And people, you're right. And you see people singing along and like kind of just like jamming out to the music and vibing with it and everything else. But it's not a fucking sing along,
right? And
it's like you can actually hear the artist. Like my wife sends me like videos of those concerts, and I'm just like, what was the point of going?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, it's just such an energy. The energy is so amazing. I'm like,
filming the concert
the whole time. The whole time.
Like you just lights.
It's sports and music. Oh, it's the same thing. Always terrible.
And if you go to Jazz Fest, like you see it, but like you're not gonna have like 1,000 kids like cell phones.
It's
like,
like they're just embracing the music. They're just
right, and it's definitely demographic. There's definitely a larger, older demographic there than you do like probably at like a Swiftie concert. Right? Let's be honest, where the social media cred is not as important.
Yeah.
And really, other than their like grandchildren, like no one else is gonna fucking see the thing they post. Right? So there's definitely a shift in demographic, but I do feel like people are generally there to enjoy the music. Enjoy the food, the environment. The weather's typically like amazing. But that's what I like, those like smaller, intimate, more engaging environments. I love watching people just jam on a guitar. Like the talent it takes to just crushing keys on a keyboard or a piano or drums. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like a Rusted Roots concert, which are always small venues. They do these like massive drum solos where the guy literally just crushes these drums for in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, all the jam bands would do that.
There's also
Dead. It's going to reference the Allman Brothers performing at Great Woods outside Boston, where I grew up, and I still reflect on 7 to 10 minutes of the greatest moments of my life, where when the Black Crowes performing at the Boston Garden. Do you know who the Black Crowes are? So speaking of,
I got homework.
We have some Black Crow vinyl.
they were hot for like 4 or 5 years. Yes. So the Black Crowes were a southern rock band out of Georgia, I think, right? And Allman Brothers are a southern rock band. And Greatwood, but from the 70s, these guys were like 1960s, 70s, and they had a resurgence in the 90s with this amazing album. Like when I was in college, like out of nowhere after 20 years. And then the Black Crowes were still hot, and they just walked right on the stage. I love the collabs when you like first either was my hip hop stuff that I
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, yeah. So these guys come out and they play the song Southbound, which is an upbeat north and southbound.
But it builds.
It's got a grind to it. But you've literally got like 15 dudes out on stage. It's like I went to Wu-Tang last year. I went to De La because I went for them. I didn't even know it was at the Hard Rock Hotel, but I'm such a De La fan. They're like my top 3 or 4, and if I could go on and on about them, but I didn't even know like Nas and Wu-Tang were playing. I was like, oh, bonus.
Yeah, I love a hell of a bonus.
And I was pissed because the ticket, it wasn't clear when I bought it through Live Nation or whomever. Like, De La came on stage for like 20 minutes as the opener. And I'm like,
what did they perform?
Wow.
Holy shit, these guys. Like, exactly. They had like 3 or 4 songs. Who was it? Talib Kweli came out and rapped for them because they just lost True Dave. Died too young. You probably don't follow De La like
No, not like that.
But man, and Wu-Tang comes out with like 9 dudes. It was like they were like a super group, and I was just watching and I was watching NWA stuff on YouTube this week for some reason. I'm like, if Swiftie or whatever her name is has like 1 billion followers, and I see NWA's 1.2 million YouTube followers, I'm like, these guys have a whole movie, like, and they pioneered a whole genre of stuff in one point, like, so and that gets me to something where, like, you guys are clearly open to your music history and the roots and like, meaning, like, where does the music come from and where's it going, and you're living it, whereas I think this generation didn't get exposed to the hand-me-downs that I got from my brother and my sister. I could hear it in the other room because they got it on their vinyl. Yeah. Everyone's walking around their earbuds and blah, blah, blah. And it's not shared. Like, we burnt CDs and gave them to our crush. Or the mixtapes. Love letters and stuff. But we made, our buddy bought the cassette, and you don't have the $5 or $8 to go out and get it. And why would you do that when you got $1 and you can copy it? And I don't know.
Do the recording of tapes when you had to like time it just right, man? Like
the pause stuff too. I didn't know anyone else did that but me. I used to like make my own little hip hop beats and rhymes, and I had like the whole 30-minute thing. I spent hours and hours and hours on the dual cassette boombox type thing or whatever. And your generation doesn't have that, but you guys have a passion for it. Do you know what you do? Do you recognize what you might have missed with meeting guys like us, or knowing that you've got vinyl at your fingertips and you're consuming the music the way the artist intended, as opposed to what's suggested on your Spotify algorithm?
What we miss is exactly what when you went to go see Earth, Wind and Fire.
Who is it?
He went to see Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah, I took my mom.
I bought their album in Dania Beach. I bought an original. I don't know them, so by buying these albums, I'm exposing myself to stuff like Diana Ross and Jackson Brown and people I don't.
Yeah, I took my mom to Earth, Wind and Fire, and then Chicago was there as well.
She's a fan?
Yeah, she's a fan. She was singing September, like all the hits, like. But the crowd was an older group.
Sing this one.
What?
Sing us one. It's not November, but it's
September.
Yeah, what do you got? Sing it. Give it to us. Give it to
Do
us.
you remember?
Do it for mom. Do it for mom.
I don't know the rest of the lyrics, but
Remember. Ba, 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 ba.
I like that's another one. Like,
I don't know. It's not my thing.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
but it's
All
like
right,
the
so,
energy.
so you took mom where and when?
It was the amphitheater in West Palm in like on August.
Nice, man.
So it's just the older crowd, like you're saying, and he
Yeah.
would probably like it because it wasn't too hectic.
Yeah.
It's just laid back. Everyone's sitting down. Obviously, there's like an older crowd there. Like people are standing with crutches. Like they were into it. It was
Yeah,
a different experience. And then when I go to like a Travis Scott concert, yeah. When you go to the modern concerts, like like Travis Scott or something, it's more like everyone just sitting down or just jumping, not
walking
even knowing
out,
the
your
lyrics.
ears bleeding
Yeah, it's
to the
just
blasting music.
Yeah.
no instrumentation. It's just
Yeah.
hit this.
So
one.
here's a funny one. There's a cover band that one of my clients was going to when I was driving by the 95 billboard in Dania Beach for their casino was hosting.
Okay.
It's just a cover band, Yachtly Crew, which I think is
Yachtly
hilarious.
Crew? Not modern
Yacht
crew?
music, which is like your generation teasing our 80 generation was like Toto or whoever was like, they call it like, it was like kind of synthed out, like, I wouldn't call Daryl Hall and John Oates like yacht music, but like kind of goofy characters.
John Oates is like, to me, John Oates is like soft rock.
Yeah, they're like
right?
Philly digital.
It's like soft rock. It's not really
I don't know. John Oates.
Yachtly
Crew.
Yeah.
That
So, like
is
Motley
hilarious.
Crue, but Yachtly Crew?
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
So they basically have a bunch of like 30-something dudes that are spoofing on that theme. Because
the-
yacht music has become a trend. There's all these little genres that just. Yeah, go ahead.
What, like Lonely Island? What is it? What's it? Andy Samberg was making fun of it.
I think I
Like some Saturday Night Live stuff. I know what you're saying, where it's just they're just making.
So that was a big show last night. They're making a living out of that. I think that's hilarious.
SNL.
No, the Yachtly Crew thing.
Oh, they were listening.
What else is on your mind for music? Where would you like to see? Who do you anticipate being bigger than they are? Like, who's the band that we don't know? 'Cause like, I think every generation loves to be like, I'm with the band. I'm on the inside scoop. I'm listening to my own stuff that no one else. I'm not even like, I know they're gonna be big or whatever. Like,
Do you have to be controversial to be big?
right now, yeah, because I just feel like
Really?
controversial.
Yeah, you have to be
controversy is currency. That's
for what? For hip hop
Yeah,
or for any?
I think with anything. I mean, think about like
TikTok song.
even down back to like Britney Spears, like
Yeah.
even like with Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
like you said, like think about that economic wise. Like people think like she put butts in the chairs, but then you got to think about the people
Restaurants.
sleeping in the hotels,
The restaurants, everything.
eating, the Ubers, the she. It's like
Dude, have you seen the fucking costumes?
come on,
Like,
bro.
even
Even
when
when
Amazon has like, there was watching this thing on YouTube. I showed it to my wife. There's an entire Etsy like catalog dedicated to people that create basically Taylor Swift starter kits that include friendship bracelets and bedazzled shit like for their hair, for their boots, for the whole thing. I mean, it's like the
We had stuff going on in Madonna in 85, 84.
Is this bigger though? Is this
I mean,
Madonna is the OG of
yeah,
She's the whole package to it.
reinventing
I think
herself.
Madonna-
She's a mess now.
she's a total fucking. My wife went to the concert
like
the
that
other.
cat lady with that plastic surgery.
Well, the concert she put on American Airlines or whatever, like I still call it that.
Yeah, it's not Castilla to me.
The Miami Heat Raider. Let's call it what it is. I now call it Dolphin Stadium because you never remember the name of it.
What's that crypto scam? The crypto scam
For little showing up here on there.
FTX.
FTX, yeah.
FTX for like what, a year?
So they went to the Madonna show, and it was basically like your grandmother thrusting on the fucking stage, where it was so indecent that people were literally bleeding because they were. She was just like a full-on, basically, as this like younger dude dancing with her. That she was effectively like, I mean, just like dry humping on a fucking stage.
We're watching her fantasy.
Yeah, but yeah, like.
Two holes for that, yeah.
But I'm like, it's unrelatable because she's fucking a relic at this point. I don't I don't get it. And
She did not age gracefully.
no. I mean, she did for a while, though. Honestly, though, if you look at her about 10 years ago,
she had a couple
she was
pop-ins.
still
Yeah, she had some pop-ins.
attractive. She had a lot of work done, obviously, but, whatever. And But no, I think that I mean, again, it's a generational shift, though. You just see them still trying to hold on to it.
She was the one that reinvented herself more than anyone, successfully.
Yeah.
Like, you can fuck up with reinventing yourself.
I mean, Jennifer Lopez just finds a new husband.
That's the rebrand.
That was fun. That was fun.
That's the rebrand.
That was the rebrand.
That is the rebrand.
Who's our backup dancer, basically?
What do you two do for work? Like, what? Like, this is the outside of work, right? Or is it? Is this your industry?
Well, I love music, but I work in pharmaceuticals.
Sales or
not pharmacy? Just I work at Baptist Hospital.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of like when people hear that, they're like, "What the hell?"
Like, it's your escape.
Yeah, it's my escape. Like, music is my escape.
This is normal.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a good thing. Yeah.
It's above normal.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call it. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm a logistics manager for a heavy equipment operating company in Sweden. So
they're based in Sweden. You're doing a Miami operation.
Yes, we do the whole U.S. location for like cranes and remotes and transmitters. So when it is buildings, like we provide transmitters and receivers to operate the cranes.
Oh, there's about 750 cranes up in South Florida right now.
Well, the Palmetto's not done yet.
That's a lot of controllers.
Dan, you want the last word as our official host?
What do you guys think of the space?
Oh man, we love it. The first thing I'll say is when somebody DMs you, respond. That's the first thing. Because when I got the DM from Nucleus, I'm like, oh, it's another podcast studio, and that's what I called it at first. And then I just set it up. I came here and I was like, nah, man, this is different. This is way different. Because downstairs, you're like, okay, where are the studios? First thing I did was FaceTime him. I'm like, bro, we have to book here, bro.
Yeah.
Good, man. Yeah. That's great.
It was like the best analogy is like Sam Neill in Jurassic Park seeing a live dinosaur. I was just looking around like, wow.
Yeah. And when we bring people here, people are like, nah, bro, like, what is this? Like, especially when they're in the other room, they're like, it feels like we're about to sit down with like Oprah. Like, what's going on back there? It's like, yeah, man, it's just the feel. And it's kind of like, I always tell people, it's like, the biggest thing I like about it is that it's like members only. Mm-hmm. It's not open to the public, because trust me, we have horror stories of where we've been. And like, while we're sitting down podcasting, like trains are passing by loud as hell.
Well, we're about the community.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. I mean, without the community, we don't think there's a possibility of being successful, because it just becomes another studio.
Yeah.
And we talk about it all the time. These are, for us, as hubs. That way, that's the way we refer to it as. And it's where creatives can come, or people that need to create. Because just because you're creating content doesn't make you a creative, right? Because you may be doing something you're tasked with doing, and it may not be that all fun and interesting or exciting for us. So we're trying to innovatively create and develop tools, whether it's just the wireless capabilities of hardware and integration into spaces that otherwise may not seem or feel as if you're in a studio, right? You can use this room for so many different reasons. So you can literally undo the casters, turn the table, take all the microphones off it, and do a live stream, webinar right in here, product demonstrations on top of the table. Yeah,
this looks like a perfect table for product.
Yeah, that's what I was pushing for, something when we're high top, and then we have the low top in there, because we used to have a low top white table in here. But we're just trying to create like that Swiss Army knife for the creator economy, and the tech is dropping November 30th, where you're really going to get to see it, what is possible, and really get a first blush of it. And then we have the Art Basel event. Yeah. Wait till you guys see that.
We're
going to host something here?
No, better than that. So we're expanding the footprint, and as a segue into the expansion of the footprint, we've teamed up with a company called Rebrand in New York. They do a lot of brand representation of some of the biggest sports entertainment athletes, and athletes and people in the entertainment industry. Let me say it that way. So we have a lineup that's got Dwayne Wade, UD, Kendrick Perkins, Baron Davis. Plus, we have a whole lineup of actual successful creators that are going to be putting on workshops, webinars, alternating with the main stage with these bigger names that all have podcasts and are on TV. We have an entire broadcast panel. It's actually going to be driven by women. That's all about broadcasting and the creativeness that goes into it. So it's really called Sport Gallery. So it's like a gallery, but the gallery idea is the art is the creation of content. And then there's the Art of Creator series that's going to be going on an upper floor overlooking that gallery.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be 2 days long with access. Once you're on in the Nucleus system, you can book time to actually create. We'll have 2 flanking studios where you'll be able to actually go in there, create content, both short-term, long-form podcasting. I'm going to be setting up a lot of photography gear as well, so we'll do some really playful shit with like mirrors and green screens or whatever. And then on the main stage, we're going to open up the main stage for a short period of time where people can actually book to go up on the stage. The stage is going to be about 4 feet elevated off the ground, 360-degree view of everything down from the production to the talent as they're doing and creating content. It's going to be absolutely sick. Huge brands involved. Can't disclose that yet.
Classified. G14 classified.
But again, it's another way in which we're creating a whole different environment. And Wynwood is going to become another hub location for Nucleus coming years.
That's
so
amazing.
Expanding the footprint, expanding the reach of our membership and our users, as well as our brand. So we're going to be, can't disclose it either, working with a absolutely huge brand where we are going to be producing their content. And I could not have thought of a better brand to be producing content for. Where we're going to be basically running all the audio, video, lighting, full production. They were going to be in a Nucleus hub in Wynwood, in the heart of it, creating content all week long during Basel. And our members that are already members will absolutely be able to use, when there's spots available, this studio space that's being built for this specific brand. That's beyond and outside of the event I just talked about, by the way.
And
so these two things, not
everything.
So the one is the sports gallery with the Art of Creator, and the other thing is a physical studio that will remain and stay in Wynwood beyond Basel. Cool. So 2 things.
This brainchild couldn't have all been just you.
Nah, my
Where
partner.
did this brainstorm and like this creativity for this particular event and production?
2 friends, man. Yeah. We got together. Realized that we both had a need.
You and Anthony.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, when I met Anthony, he was just he was the less expensive trainer at Equinox.
Well, what a dynamo, man. I met him 5 years ago, and I told you like the first thing I did a sports and fitness activation for the month of March in 2020 that the city commissioned us for. I had 2 teammates, Tony Thomas and Ruben Figueredo, and we were curating like 6 dozen fitness classes for spring break, which there's no official spring break. We were trying to offer something healthy. Anthony was our first coach. And the photo I saw of him was like a jump push-up, like 4 feet off the ground. I'm like,
oh, like the one over there.
Who's this? Who can do that? I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, he had long hair too, right?
Yeah. When I see him now, like, he looks like a 3rd grade teacher.
When you
I miss the long hair and the beard, the grizzle.
Poor man, like a Viking.
Yeah, but when you see him, when you see him now, just don't ride his ass. But I keep telling him, I said, hey, we do these things, like, and I would encourage people in like business or whatever. I was like, you sit down with your partner, and you said, hey, what can I do more for you, or how can I improve so that we're better? I want to hear, like, give me the criticism. Like, if I can't take it from my partner, then like you can't take it from anyone, right? So like, tell me how we can improve. So like, we went through a list. My first one was like, you remember that dude that was fucking jacked? You got to be that guy. I was like, well, how are we getting Anthony Mendez back? I was like, and we both have thick skin, so we fuck with each other because I got a bit of a dad bod these days, and was certainly much more fit when I met him as well. So but yeah, we push each other in that regard. So
at this age, we fluctuate.
You gotta give yourself credit. You jogged over here. You did like 7 miles.
Did you?
I did see 7 miles over here.
And you got the shower here at the Nucleus.
No,
right?
not tonight. Way too much credit, man. Way too much credit. No, not tonight. That was this past weekend.
Yeah. Got you.
To me, it's just like I owned a bunch of different like properties in Coral Gables, Coconut Grove. So one of the ways I would like motivate myself to run was to run from one property to the next.
That's nice.
So I did that for a while.
Yeah.
So I woke up. It was like Saturday, I think.
It was Saturday in the morning.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna run my fucking office and back. So I did it.
I was like, this guy's like Tony Stark.
So I did it. So that was just like a way to like just because it gets boring fucking running. Like you just run, and sometimes you get in the same habits of like running the same direction. I think it goes for like business or life, right? If you get so routine, and then it's just like.
But I like that you have a destination and a task.
Yeah.
You got to commute there some way. I walk to work a lot now as well. So we have a couple office listings. I live in South Beach, so I'll walk a mile, 0.5 or whatever, a mile over here. And by the end of the day or by the end of the week, I've put in 10, 15 miles there. Otherwise, don't.
Yeah, but by the way, too,
frankly, I walk and read.
About it.
So I'm either reading like real estate business stuff, or I'm reading philosophy or history, and I walk and
you listen to it too.
Nope.
No, but I'm just saying you could do it. You do
books and vinyl. Books and vinyl.
No, but I also too like when you get on the ground floor and you're in real estate. This whole sidebar conversation we're having now, but like when you get on real estate and you get on the ground floor and you start walking and you run or you're on a bike. It's so different than when you're in the fucking car. Because what are we doing? We're in the car these days. We're like. Like, you're not even.
I put the radio on and I let the radio do my thinking. I listen to talk radio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm the same. I can't listen to radio.
Yeah, but if you get, when you
or jazz,
I just feel like
DNA. I just discovered them last year, and I'm like, oh, thank you.
I just feel like when you're running, biking, or like doing some sort of physical sport outside in the market in which you're transacting in, I feel like you definitely get a really feel for what is possible. And I remember. The first time I saw this building I was actually biking, and I had biked up through here, and I was just always wondering what was in there. Started researching and whatever else, and off market, total shithole of a building. But I just never understood it because around it was all this up and coming newer. That was actually just a piece of grass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't even. This was this actually the portion of the building you're in right now was the original travel agency for Pan Am.
Pan Am, yeah, I remember.
Oh, my grandpa used to work for Pan Am.
And it was like a pink and green building. It was nasty looking, but
it sounds Miami there.
Yeah. So we actually, I say that, but now we're actually trying to figure out ways to like bring that back into the hub to make it so we've come up with like a new. You guys are going to see soon a whole new Grove logo. For this location, because now we're open in Wynwood, and we're gonna like start to brand each of the locations so that there's like a little bit of like a you have connection to it, if you will.
And the purple,
they're gonna have like softball teams that match up against each other.
It's gonna be all kinds of fun. Which great.
Because that's the purple. The purple pops.
So,
10,000 ideas.
As a real estate broker, I wanted to ask you or enhance the story because. Tell us about the neighborhood. You got all this residential right here. You got the retail right there. You got City Hall half a mile away, and Kennedy Park, and like the Regatta Grove. Like, tell the audience about the neighborhood. This is a hidden gem.
Yeah. So
that'll be an anchor for the community.
Yeah. So I'll give a short version, but that was when I was looking at this. Also, too, elevation. Something I'll be honest with you. That was one of the first things I took in was. It was obvious that it was near to the core of Coconut Grove. Like there was like an instant, right? There was this. They had just completed the expansion of 27th, which was becoming this like major commercial corridor all the way. It was like way far north. There was talks of bringing the people mover and everything down it and the whole thing, but it's never going to quite come so far south. But there's a lot of conversation around that. So like I was
that's the Metro mover, the free one from Brickell is going to come all the way here.
Well, they're supposed to make it like a north-south corridor on 27th to connect.
So, and for people that are listening to this amazing viral podcast, the Metro mover is driverless 2-car train in downtown in Brickell. It's maybe 2 miles or something, but like super convenient and free.
Yeah, and they just put in like Grove Central. Which is a massive project right there. It was David Martin, his group put it in, Terra. But like, so you have a shopping there, Total Wines in there,
180 apartments next door.
Yeah. So and
the Tri-Rail or whatever that is,
huge.
And the bus terminal they added to. Yeah.
When I came here, it was again a shithole of a building, and there was. The grass across the street was an empty lot, glass house, empty lot. building next door was pretty run down.
For the condos?
That's kind of part of the story, too. I initially thought I'd buy this and then buy the one next door. Started going through due diligence on the one next door. They weren't exactly being upfront honest at the time, so I didn't buy it. It's okay, though. Someone now has bought it. Now they're about to do another redevelopment project there. They did the glass house. They're allegedly planning a 50-some story building right across the street from me. You have the Mr. C's was being built. You had Park Grove got built. You had all these flagship related built a huge office building. They brought in major food group with you had
restaurants.
Just incredible restaurants started coming, more and more of them. Every day was like breaking news, and I was like, "This is amazing."
The growth is high.
Here's the reality, though, is that I gutted this building in February of 2020.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
wow.
So I gutted it in February 2020, and then in March 17th, I'm in Baptist Hospital having my son, and the world shuts down.
Yeah,
and this building sat completely gutted for almost 3 months or so because I couldn't get materials to the job site.
Right.
And we weren't sure what we were supposed to do. Hired an engineer to kind of get through the permitting process and everything else, and it's been like long drudging of experience. But to say the least, though, the market around it has grown up. I remember there was a townhouse literally right on Lincoln, right here, about like half a block up, that wasn't even $1 million, like a townhome. Now these townhouses goes for millions of dollars, millions. It wasn't even $1 million. I was actually thinking about buying it because it was right next to this, and I thought, okay, that'd be like corporate housing at some point,
right?
Or like for like when clients come in, I can give them a place or rent it out, Airbnb or whatever. Like there was just, I mean, if you think about like the prices where they went, and everything else. Since I bought this place, it was like and when I bought it, there was some criticism. I did hear from some people who were like, dude, like the Grove is kind of like dumpy. I mean, honestly, if you go back to like 17, 18, the Grove was like 19. It starts to like get some go. The whole Coco Walk thing, the project gets announced, everything else, in 2020, 2021, it's like fucking like on fire.
Yeah. So how do you fight through that adversity? Like hearing those
people talking,
and you're kind of locked in. Like
it was 3 miles from my house. It was pretty easy.
No.
The other thing is
no. And by the way, because it was 3 miles from my house, I think to myself going, I bought here because I knew this was a good real estate market. I felt it. I mean,
you know the way that Warren Buffett buys what he knows,
right? And I knew it. I was familiar with it. If you look at the way Coral Gables was planned, you look at Coconut Grove. It's like Coral Gables, Coconut Grove. There's such a blurred line between Coconut Grove and Coral Gables that it almost feels as if like Coconut Grove was like, hey, I'm going to go to Miracle Mile for this, and I'm going to go to the Grove for that. Like that was you didn't go to South Miami. South Miami sucked. And it's even worse now. But like. It's changing though, and it's going to be.
I like South Miami, but I hear you.
I love the potential for South Miami.
Yeah.
I love the potential for South Miami.
It's so basically,
but it sucked.
They're all like siblings in like Coral Gables.
No one went to South Miami.
The middle child
in a way. Well,
South Miami, the middle child.
Like Coral Gables and the Grove are like twins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
11 months apart.
Fraternal twins.
It's getting better though.
This is the waterfront side. They got the Miracle Mile side, the Mediterranean, the architecture. You got the mangrove trees. They're cool. And right now, the important part of what you left out of the story is that these are the two hottest cities in America. Like by per square foot on sales, they're beating Beverly Hills and everything else.
Be mind blowing.
Now, when we were doing demographic studies for Nucleus before we launched it, like, is this the right place to do it? Anthony and I sat down and everything else, and so a lot of research went into, okay, should we open it up in this building? Because I'm in it already with my other businesses, whatever. And the demographics, I mean, the numbers were off the charts on the thing. What was coming? What was everywhere else? And what is coming to South Miami now is fucking impressive as hell. Like, it's unbelievable what that's changed. High Pines, which is like now become a really high-end residential area, like right next to South Miami. The home prices are incredibly higher now.
Is High Pines Pinecrest?
No.
What's High Pines?
No. High Pines is like
this
residential neighborhood. Do you guys know where Whip and Dip is?
Is it like,
or the Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Publix? It's like right by there.
Right next to the mall. Right?
There's a new CVS. It's like this really gridded up, like smaller lots, but like bigger homes, but smaller lots. And it was a lot of like 50s or so homes, single story, and they all just like got bought up like crazy and then knocked down on all these brand new homes. But its proximity to South Miami really makes it attractive. And there's been a change of sentiment in South Miami. Like, they want to start to build and develop and everything else. So That's getting the appreciation and like the love it deserves. And right next to that is Ponce Davis, and most people know Ponce Davis. It's iconic for its estate properties. They're huge, everything else. So it's like you have Ponce Davis, huge estate homes, and then you have this like High Pines, which is like this square of an area that has these beautiful brand new homes. And that's where my family and I went for Halloween to trick or treat because a lot of our friends live there. And it's like 1,000 kids. It's a lot of families.
They get the 6-inch Baby Ruth instead of 1-inch Baby Ruth.
A lot of 1-inch. But a lot of 1-inch. But no, man, it's like
talking chocolate candy bars.
There's like
by the way.
There's like 100 kids, man, running around. It's great, great. But it's amazing. But dude, Coconut Grove will never go out of style. I mean, the waterfront area. It's
like
just,
when you have anchors like a university or a city hall. And then they're redeveloping I think was it one of the Tiger Tail office buildings or condo buildings over there is going to get redeveloped, right?
Oh, they're doing it right now where Culpin Rawson was. That's they gutted it. Now they're rebuilding it. I was all part of that whole like terror related project. Like, I don't know. When they were building all those projects, you have Coconut Grove Bank. That building is beautiful, right on the waterfront area. But the parks too. I mean, they're getting a lot of love now. They're doing a lot more stuff in the parks. The condition of park is like way better. The walking area.
It's a livable, workable city. Live, work, play. Listen, we're going to wrap this up because my coffee mug is empty.
Yeah. I'm parched.
We got off topic, but what I love is that we talked
this is great. I love
tangible. We talked vinyl and we talked brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Right? And I dropped in a little bit of books and reading and stuff like that.
I just have one question.
Let's hear it. These guys get the last word. That was a long last
that
word.
was beautiful.
What I love is their reaction to your building. And you deserve all the credit. And you deserve they hear that. Like some people wear capes and some people win trophies and you
get your flowers.
A really cool.
You deserve your flowers. Yeah.
Nice.
The community.
Get your flowers while you're here.
It's great now, and we hear it's going to be greater. I'm looking forward to hearing about this Wimbledon sports and the other brand you're going to serve. And
not coming.
You had a.
Yeah, it's just what an experience. I mean, I thought we shot like our podcast in there, and we walked downstairs.
That was just, I don't even want to drop it.
If we waited like 2 seconds, you probably would have been still getting your plate full. But we just bumped into each other. It's like,
right.
What was that thing that we were just talking about? What happened with like Darko Milicic?
Oh, where it's like, it's just one of those what ifs. Like I was watching a YouTube, and a kid in college basketball hit a game winner for the game to go into overtime. If he didn't hit the shot, the whole crowd would have gone outside to a tornado and probably died. Like that's how I kind of felt. Like
high school or college?
This is college. This was like
this week.
No,
this is like So we were watching like also and even like
It's like a butterfly flapping wings.
So it's like a butterfly. Yeah, So it's like even with Darko Milicic, like him not having a good career, but then like Jokic came out of that and
his older brother wanted to pursue it, but then kind of quit and said, "Oh, like here's my little brother," and they ended up being the NBA MVP.
Yeah, and then that kind of like fell into like Luka coming into the NBA too.
European dominance in the basketball league, but also, what are you guys' background? Because I feel like you guys are very. I was in the United States Marine Corps, so you guys are very crazy. Like. You guys moved like militant and structured. Like, what was your work ethic at like our age? Like, I really want to know that because I like picking your guys' brain.
Did a lot of drugs.
No.
His nucleus. His nucleus.
You guys got real quiet. Like, is he telling the truth?
Is this like the Wolf of Wall Street where the nucleus is the loons? Like, is that what it is?
Yeah, I have a small stage next door I stand on, and I scream at the fucking employees. No, I went to engineering school actually, and then I was in construction, so I did a lot of construction work, whatever else. But I've always been very pragmatic about my approach to things, and probably over analyzing shit. But
pays off right now.
But never really allowed it a hand to get myself to. So you always gotta understand a way to like move on.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have all of it lined up, but I mean, my wife will say it for example. Like I just jump at opportunity. I mean, I'm okay to fail. Like in fact, I'm like, yeah, that sucked, and I just laugh about it, and I kind of like move on. But always just forward thinking. I've patented shit. Like I've trademarked stuff. I've developed businesses in industries I've never even heard of before and never knew much about. But I found someone that did because I thought it was interesting and ran with it. I decided that I wanted to do some photography. I did some, fashion photography stuff. I've gotten back into real estate development, insurance services, to tell myself how to develop a program. Like, I just kind of felt like I could,
serial entrepreneur.
If I just felt like I could climb
Daniel
myself.
the tiger, he is a cat living 9 lives.
Okay, the Tony Stark thing is kind of working right now. Like, were you captured in, a cave? And
I
just,
just got him in July, and I tell him, I'm like, you're an inspiration.
Yeah.
I always talk. I've met him twice in person, July and today, and a couple times I've talked to him on the phone, but, you're an inspiration.
This is what Nucleus is about. Networking and just...
I usually don't get the chance to stand in front of everyone and talk about shit. That's Anthony's role. He's always like, they gotta do more of this stuff, and I'm just like, no, Anthony, you're the influencer, right? You have the following. You are a true creator. I mean, I create content. I have a podcast every Thursday I do on insurance services or whatever else. But I mean, I don't.
That one is super viral.
I
went to your YouTube and I saw
sometimes Pat Riley.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes Pat Riley has to pop up at the office a couple times. And
but it'll hit down the road because people they always go dig down to go cancel you or to discover your original content.
Right. So 200 some episodes, but again, I don't care. I'm gonna keep fucking doing it.
It'll pay off.
And well, the reality of it is that I found it more interesting as a business strategy that I wasn't so much focused on the immediate results of where it was, right? I was like, okay, if I create a body of content and a knowledge base, right, where someone has an issue, oh, fuck. I remember episode 68, I talked about this. I'm going to send it to them. So to me, it was a knowledge library. That's what I used to tell my team all the time. I go, no, we're going to keep fucking doing this. It's a knowledge library. If we ever run into a situation because of X, Y, Z, this is,
you got to professionally format.
This is your reference. Right.
And so I'll run into, when I was doing the insurance services, I'm dealing with a particular type of restaurant, hospitality group, whatever else, and be like, oh, I talked about business income related insurance and transacting and tenants and this and everything else. I was in episode 42. And again, would send it to them. Hurricanes related to commercial buildings on the west coast of Florida. Well, we got about 20 of those episodes. I can, pick one of them and send it. So it literally became my knowledge library. Jesus. And that was the way. But then I would take that and the programming I would write for that became the basis for our newsletter. So then our newsletter was both physical and electronic. The electronic one went out weekly. The newsletter went out monthly or quarterly, depending on if it was a wrap-up of that quarter or that month. So everything was backed up by the podcast that had 2 views on it, right? But I didn't have to rewrite anything, and I could literally just give that to material, and my team can then take it, cut it down, and now it became a social media post. Now it became the monthly newsletter, the quarterly newsletter. Then it became a continuing education class, so then we started teaching a whole fucking class on it. All of that originated from me forcing myself on a weekly basis to sit down and talk.
Wow. You guys are so cool.
Yeah.
You guys are cool. Yeah. What about you?
Background?
Yeah, your background
stuff?
You look like a military.
Or do you want... my dad was Army. I just don't have hair.
You don't have hair.
Oh, this is me growing. I had a heartbreak, and there's a Bruce Springsteen lyric that's I'm going to change my hair, change my clothes and face. Remember that lyric?
Yeah.
Anyway, it just happened. I'm at that age where I've been doing the trim, the crew, whatever. I'm not going to show you this right now. I got to cut this.
I feel like Sarah smiles.
The lazy, whatever, because there's nothing. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me see what I got. Just go with the flow. Who cares? Whatever. And then just cover with baseball. Anyway, so Dad was Army. His last assignment, I lived in Maryland as a kid for the most part. He took 2 assignments back to back because you typically travel every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
Career.
2 or 3,
He did 25 years.
Oh, wow.
In medical officer, psychologist. And he had a couple stints in Alabama, unfortunately for me. It was a helicopter pilot training base, which is, it's kind of interesting. I didn't care. I knew by the time I was 5 and we moved the first time, and I was like, that's mean. You move families away from their friends.
Those friends, and you just have to move.
So thankfully I had 8 wonderful years at elementary and middle school, and lovely town called Frederick, Maryland, on the west side near the mountains. And Maryland was awesome, man. Like, it had everything you needed. Like, it's got the ocean if you go all the way over
The
there.
food's great too, right?
The mountains. You know, I was just a kid. McDonald's, like Pizza Hut, like no. So I loved my life there. Then I moved back to Alabama. That sucked.
What part of
with the
the
story?
like,
That Fort
Mobile
Rucker spot, and the Fort Rucker helicopter, which I think they changed because Rucker was like a Confederate general or something like that. But so that's cool. I didn't know that. Like, we don't know who the anyway. So his last assignment was outside of Boston. And he was the laboratory commander, small laboratory. This is right at the first Desert Storm era. And we were driving up, and my first day, says my mom, my sister, and I, she's like, Kevin, you're the local high school kid. I was going to junior year. What do you want to do? I was like, Fenway Park. That's the mecca. And baseball is my first love. So I'm 5'10".
Go Dodgers.
Yeah, man, I'm happy the Dodgers won because they beat the Yankees.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's all the reason.
I think that's why you said
Yeah, it's interesting. I watched a lot of baseball this month because I'd say the last 15 years, I'm going without a TV. And the apartment I've got the cable built in with it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I watch as much because I haven't seen Shohei Ohtani play. Like,
So are you the type of guy that has the TV in the living room, not in the bedroom?
I tried that. I do have a TV in the
trying to do
bedroom, and I didn't use it for like a year because of that.
It's like you check out.
and it's got a funky audio, whatever. But like, you know, I'm a TV in the bed and go to sleep type of guy too. Anyway, long story short, career-wise, like a lot of Boston collegiate alums, and I say that because I went to Boston College, but there's 70 universities around Boston, and there's a big financial services industry, brokerage and mutual funds, or even in New York, that's probably the secondary market for that. So I did that as my first career, about 6 years, and I was never like really sold to it. When you look at the job board and you're like, I didn't see any job that I wanted to do for the next, call it 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
So, but they paid for tuition reimbursement. I started a master's of business at the top entrepreneur school called Babson. Shout out, we just got Wall Street Journal ranked as number 2 college of all 3,000, 4,000 colleges. I think it was, I don't know, it wasn't me this year. Like, I went 20 years ago.
Still in love.
Exactly. It felt good. It was a pleasant surprise. They measure it on like,
lay down the
I
ground.
need to be in the revenue side, but that's how they measure it because it's Wall Street Journal, right? I think it was Princeton and then Babson and then like a few others in Harvard and Yale, and you get to laugh because Harvard.
Look at those names.
So that was kind of cool, and that's where I shifted into entrepreneurship. I've always had a creative bug, I'd say, since my middle school days. So I was class clown, and I would wear like goofy T-shirts or whatever. I just had my own style. So I put 2 things there, sports and fashion, and I created Superfan Streetwear when I graduated in 2004. My beloved Red Sox won the World Series for the first time in 86 years, and designed a shirt with a friend, and I had a hockey bag of shirts that got confiscated in the first 20 minutes. I'm an undercover cop. I didn't know you couldn't just walk around and just sell stuff. But there were 3 million people at that parade, and the cop was pretty cool, actually. He's like, well, I can arrest you or take the bag and go to code enforcement tomorrow. I didn't know any of this stuff. I'm like, all right, so I go, and like, listen, the entire city, the entire New England community globally was on cloud 9. Like, you can't even understand how it is to be. It's not a fair weather city. This is 5 generations deep have waited for this. So lots of heartbreak and second places and this and that. So everybody's in good mood, and I find out the MLB attorneys look. So what they're looking for are knockoffs, and mine was fan apparel, right? So you can't just put these logos out, and I can go deep onto like, intellectual property, trademarks, copyrights, and stuff, licensing, because frankly, in the 1950s. The 2 twins, they were teenagers. They used to make Boston Red Sox baseball hats and pennants, and they created the first official licensed branding.
Wow!
Because the Red Sox were like, "You're making money off our logo, right?" And so they ended up paying a royalty. So a lot of people don't know this stuff, but like that whole any official Swiftie merchandise, like all that stuff can get credited back in part to these two Italian twins and that's the name of their shop, the Twin Souvenir Store. So it's interesting. They started just like me and in a store across a street from the stadium. And fast forward 6 years later, after I was in their store getting my little hockey bag of shirts back, minus 13 shirts in the hockey bag, I walk out and I see the mayor of Boston, who's like he's a big name, like nationwide. And I was like, oh, the mayor. Like, it's just like cool, serendipity type shit. He couldn't get any of the players right. If all my Boston friends remember Mayor Menino, like, never got the players' names right. But he was there for 20 years. So it was a really inspiring experience to be in this souvenir store as a family business, truly. And I'm upstairs in their offices, day 2 of my confiscated shirt business. And there's a dog walking around. There's, like, grandkids walking. I'm like, this is... this is kind of a life I want to build out for myself. And I had a vision. I'll bore you guys with that later. But you fast forward 6 years later, I ended up with a boutique. I had a little 300-square-foot store in Kenmore Square. If you see the Sitco side, you're a bit of a baseball fan, but with the Green Monster. And we were a block east of that, towards the Newbury Street shopping, which is one of the preeminent Main Street shopping districts in America. So that to me, because I did not become that 6'5" baseball pitcher, but I followed my other passions, and music was always an inspiration on my apparel. So half of my designs all had lyrics. It's like Boston has a lot of sports music.
Yeah. References everything.
And so I ran that business for a decade. I burnt out of that business. I burnt out of Boston. I was with my cousins in Chicagoland while one was getting married, and my cousin that had moved to Miami to do commercial real estate brokerage. He's listening to me say I'm burnt out. I'm looking. I might even move. I'm hoping it was like, it's crazy because I was like Mr. Boston, like mayor of Fenway type stuff, so I took my talents to South Beach and my
LeBron.
LeBron.
That was perfect.
Right? Yeah. So my store had converted to condos, and that's kind of where I dropped out my phrase now is, if you can't beat them, join them. I now consult office, warehouse, and retail clientele on what to do or where to go, and negotiating there. And Daniel and I have talked about this a bit. So. I like to live vicariously through other people's pains and successes, which, of course, you're still a business owner. You still have a bottom line, but it's a grind, man. But it's interesting. Like, it's so fun to listen to you talk about your Coconut Grove selection here and what you're doing and the whole history behind Pan Am. I didn't grow up here, but I'm reading Miami history, and I was telling you about the 420 Lincoln Road offices that we've got. That's an 85-year-old building where in my office market, we're the office listing brokers there, and I'm on the phone with the landlord client yesterday. I'm like, look, there's 10 million people that pass by your building every year. Most of them are tourists, but there's also 100,000 residents. I guarantee at most 1% might know that there's offices upstairs. But you got to get bodies in the building. Yeah. Like, let's bring, because we have a network that I'm trying to build over there called First Fridays at 420 Lincoln Road, where we'll use our cool little common area where we're going to put in the mid-century furnishing, and like we're going to let people feel like they're walking into a John Hamm FX Mad Men TV set, because you're not going to be the new Class A office building in Brickell, Coconut Grove over here, but you are an 85-year-old building that has 10 million people walking by yearly. Like, it's cool. And so I think it's some of that creativity that I've got from my previous brand, and any negotiating I had to do back then, and just to try to make my job fun and hit that bottom line goal as well. So that's some of what I'm doing, I'd say, here, But thank you for the kind question.
Oh yeah, I really appreciate
I love it.
You got the long way.
Well, we are literally at 1 hour.
There we go.
Wow.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
good.
literally
Chop it
at
up,
1
Johnny.
hour. All right.
Gonna close us out.
Thank
Yes.
you, Daniel.
We're good.
Thank you, man.
Thank you guys. It was
No
awesome.
problem.
It's great, man.